From shattered partnerships and a multi-million-dollar restaurant buyout to secret betrayals behind closed doors, the Vanderpump Empire is facing its ultimate breaking point. Welcome back to Nokus Reality, your go-to source for the unfiltered truth in celebrity and reality TV drama. Today, we are breaking down the explosive fallout between Lisa Vanderpump and Tom Sandoval over TomTom that triggered a massive $3 million sale. But business power struggles were just the tip of the iceberg. Behind the scenes, a devastating $195,000 staircase lawsuit cracked Lisa's marriage wide open, fueling intense financial blame, shocking cheating revelations, and a bombshell divorce that left Hollywood stunned. How did a minor equity clash spiral into total personal and financial devastation? Stick around as we uncover every twist, courtroom ruling, and private betrayal. Before we jump in, hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications for Nokus Reality, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. Let's dive straight into the drama. For over a decade, Lisa Vanderpump was not just a standout star on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and Vanderpump Rules. She was an institution. Lisa built an image of immaculate perfection with her loving husband, Ken Todd. Swans floated in the moat at Villa Rosa, diamonds gleamed on characteristic pink silk, and every restaurant they built in Los Angeles appeared to turn to gold immediately. Together, Lisa and Ken presented a united front, shrewd in business, rich in living, and completely untouchable in their marriage. Tom Sandoval was the hub of their sprawling TV universe, the ambitious, charismatic bartender who went from serving drinks at SUR to dreaming of his own hospitality empire in no time. When Lisa was pregnant with TomTom, she saw raw potential in Sandoval and his partner Tom Schwartz and gave them a seat at the main table. It was all presented as the ultimate mentorship, a way to get from reality TV celebrity to being a true West Hollywood restaurateur. It seemed like a perfect team to the public, one where devotion was rewarded with high-stakes equity and industry clout. But beyond the controlled Instagram postings and perfectly timed television drama, the dynamic was difficult from the start. Lisa was a restaurateur of the old school who demanded entire obedience and final clearance on every aspect from the kitchen crew to the cocktail napkins. Sandoval, by contrast, wanted real creative control and respect as an equal partner, not merely to be a handsome mascot for Lisa's business. He wanted his voice to have genuine weight in the boardroom, not just to be nodding along to whatever Lisa and Ken said. What the world saw as a lighthearted mother-hen dynamic was silently simmering into a confrontation of huge egos. But Lisa expected to be thanked and shown respect for opening doors that young restaurateurs could only dream of. Sandoval, infatuated with his own blossoming popularity, believed it was he who was the genuine cultural pulse sending customers through the door. In theory, it was a wonderful business idea. Take the bromance of Tom Sandoval and Tom Schwartz, beloved by fans, and turn it into the hottest, most anticipated place to go in West Hollywood. When Lisa Vanderpump originally pitched the idea, it was like a great fairy tale. For the first time, Lisa and husband Ken Todd opened the door to high-end hospitality for the duo. Sandoval and Schwartz shook hands warmly and made a ceremonial buy-in, investing $50,000 each for a 5% share in the ambitious new enterprise called TomTom. To the outside world, and particularly in the mind of Tom Sandoval, this was his time to go from an average bartender to a heavyweight restaurateur. Indeed, the entire identity of the venue was painstakingly built around their names, their unique style, and their television success. The contemporary industrial design was dominated by huge artistic paintings of the two Toms, and faithful admirers lined the sidewalk, just hoping to catch a sight of Sandoval pouring drinks behind the bar. Sandoval plunged himself into the project with frenzied zeal, stressing over sophisticated cocktail recipes, pricey ice programs, and the lounge's exact aesthetic vibe. But behind the scenes, a harsh operational reality was fast settling in. Sandoval envisioned himself sitting at the executive table on equal footing with Lisa and Ken, but the harsh financial logic was telling a different narrative. Lisa and Ken had a controlling interest, an overwhelming 90% of financing the multi-million-dollar build-out and taking on all the key financial commitments. To Ken Todd, a veteran of dozens of hotel firms throughout the world, Sandoval's tiny check was little more than symbolic earnest money for promotional rights. Every time Sandoval tried to tell them how to run things, or argue over building timetables, or override beverage menus, Lisa and Ken were quick to let him know where he really belonged. The West Hollywood marquee promised its dazzling sign, TomTom, but the deed, the lease, and the executive control were solely the Vanderpump-Todd clan. Sandoval felt suffocated and ignored, believing his creative force and cultural relevancy were being exploited for advertising optics only. Meanwhile, Lisa's exasperation rose at what she saw as unwarranted entitlement from a junior partner who held a little slice of the bar. Sandoval, in her opinion, was acting like a majority owner, but was not taking on any of the real financial risk. The years went by, and the novelty of becoming decorative figureheads became simmering resentment. Tom Sandoval was no longer content with just churning craft cocktails under Lisa's watchful eye. He wanted total creative control. Sandoval and Tom Schwartz knew they had all their money in West Hollywood when they chose to open their own independent lounge, Schwartz and Sandy's. They were desperate for cash to fund pricey upgrades, permits, and design ideas, and turned to Lisa Vanderpump and Ken Todd to ask for their original money back. Lisa and Ken were willing to meet the request, giving back a big part of their buy-in to help make their new venture work. But money talks, and in the harsh world of commercial hospitality, it talks loud and clear. And when that capital was drained, the game was finished. Lisa began publicly and privately telling people that Sandoval and Schwartz's shares had been diluted from their original 5% to a measly 2.5% each. For Lisa, it was just bookkeeping. Take your money out of a high-risk venture and you lose your stature in her eyes. On matters of major day-to-day operation and long-range policy, she did not feel the need to consult a junior partner who owned only 2.5% of the firm. In the corporate boardrooms, a 2.5% stakeholder is a mute observer, not an executive commander. To Sandoval, however, it felt like a planned insult. He believed that TomTom's core worth was never only the cash he put into it, but his image, his personal magnetism, and the countless hours he spent promoting its brand. It galled his pride to see his power reduced to a rounding error in public. He was livid that Lisa could treat him like some casual spectator in an establishment that practically had his name over the door. Soon the tension turned from passive-aggressive to blatant defiance. Sandoval said that any structural pivot, cosmetic adjustment, or operational change still required his advanced consultation and consent. Lisa was very unimpressed and stuck to the fundamental principles of business. Power was in the wallet, not on the billboard. Tom Sandoval's ultimate expression of independence was to venture off and create Schwartz and Sandy's. He was desperate to prove to the hotel sector, his TV audience, and, most crucially, Lisa Vanderpump, that he was a visionary businessman who could stand on his own 2 feet. Sandoval, with Tom Schwartz and outside partners, wanted to construct a hip, psychedelic dive lounge in Franklin Village, without the polished chandeliers, pink flowers, and tight control that marked Lisa's world. From the beginning, Sandoval made it obvious that this was his initiative and his project alone. Whenever Lisa visited the raw construction site or offered unsolicited suggestions on build-out finances, plan flow, or timeline management, Sandoval's mood became markedly icy and defensive. The notion of Lisa treating him like an apprentice who needed a guiding hand made him bristle. To Sandoval, admitting her part was like letting her take the glory for his own accomplishment before the doors opened. But Lisa viewed his unexpected push for independence through a far less compassionate prism. For years, she championed the 2 Toms raising them from humble SUR bartenders to high-profile brand ambassadors with lucrative media exposure. She thought she had given Sandoval the ultimate business education and a leg up like never before in a hard, ruthless market. It seemed so incredibly disrespectful to see him turn around, become hostile to her guidance, and want a complete break. Ken Todd was no less impressed, and he saw the defiance as sheer, reckless bravado on the part of a couple of amateurs who had badly misread the harsh reality of commercial leases, liquor licenses, and building permits. And the competition between the two groups soon morphed into a tacit territorial war. Sandoval threw unlimited energy and soaring personal fortune into Schwartz and Sandy's, determined to prove his old boss wrong. But in his attempts to escape Lisa's shadow, Sandoval alienated his most influential connections in Los Angeles. The simmering hostility ultimately boiled over into open battle when external business demands drove Lisa Vanderpump to reevaluate her West Hollywood real estate. Under the tragic death of Pump, her legendary restaurant down the street, under its canopy of olive trees, Lisa refused to let its signature culinary identity and lucrative customer base just disappear. And she didn't skip a beat in redirecting the ship. She decided to take Pump's most beloved features and plop them right down on the vast outdoor patio at TomTom, formally rebranding the space as the Pump Garden Bar. Lisa went to work bringing over trademark cocktails, specific aesthetics, and Pump's veteran head chef to completely revamp the culinary menu. For Lisa and Ken, it was a great, realistic business move intended to safeguard their bottom line and increase foot traffic over their remaining land. They owned 95% controlling interest and paid the overhead and took the leasing risks, so any major strategic moves were entirely their decision. But to Tom Sandoval, this radical restructuring was a humiliating smack in the face. But he heard about these wide-reaching operational changes not in formal board meetings or strategy sessions behind closed doors, but through office gossip after the plans were already established in concrete. It was like a hostile takeover of his own club to get inside TomTom and have a totally different brand branded into the place. His culinary concept was pushed aside to make way for the Pump menu, and a new kitchen head was put in place without his knowledge or agreement. When Sandoval confronted Lisa furiously about why a named partner was kept in total darkness, the answer was frosty and instant. Lisa did not apologize, telling him forcefully that a 2.5% minority stakeholder had neither veto power nor executive advisory privileges. If he wanted to run a restaurant his way, he could do it at his half-finished project across town. Lisa's message was unambiguous. Tom Sandoval no longer walked through the doors of TomTom as a triumphant, inspiring place. It was a silent disgrace. His own stylized face gazed at him from the walls wherever he turned, yet he felt utterly powerless in the area that bore his identity. Patrons from around the globe swarmed the bar, placing orders for unique cocktails and inquiring of staff when Sandoval may come. Outwardly, he was the poster boy for New West Hollywood chic, but in actual reality, he was nothing more than a living advertising mascot. Sandoval's objections grew louder, and he complained to anybody who would listen about his lack of executive oversight. He argued with passion that it was his cultural relevance, his personal brand, and relentless television promotion that were the main engines that kept the venue relevant in an ever-changing Los Angeles nightlife scene. He felt deliberately excluded, with major aesthetic redesigns, staffing decisions, and menu overhauls being put out without his prior knowledge. He believed a true collaboration required transparency, mutual respect, and planning together, not dictum from the heights of Villa Rosa. Lisa Vanderpump, in contrast, was entirely unaffected by his grievances. Sandoval, from her seasoned point of view, essentially didn't grasp how commercial equity worked in the real business world. The 2.5% share, which is a pittance, does not give any investor the right to executive privileges, boardroom votes, or vetoes over high-stakes operational strategies, she bluntly said. If Sandoval wasn't carrying the heavy load of the commercial lease, the payroll crises, or the legal responsibilities, he had no right to claim final say on how the venue was handled. The dynamic became a frozen standstill that could not be surmounted. Sandoval felt used up and discarded. Sure, Lisa had ridden his fame to build a multi-million-dollar brand and then toss him aside once it was launched. Lisa, meanwhile, saw Sandoval as an entitled junior partner with an unbridled ego that blinded him to the realities of the business. The incessant arguing, damaged egos, and unrelenting behind-the-scenes friction finally took a toll on Lisa Vanderpump, on one simple principle: total control and ultimate efficiency. Lisa and Ken Todd had been running successful venues all around London and Los Angeles for decades. What started as a delightful, high-octane partnership between the two Toms had deteriorated into a tiresome loop of entitlement, creative posturing, and unending media speculation. Between dealing with Sandoval's endless gripes and managing her bigger TV empire, the pleasure of the endeavor was gone. Above all else, Lisa was a businesswoman. She saw the brand tension and shifting dynamics among the cast starting to distort the bottom-line worth of the premier West Hollywood real estate. Instead of continuing to mediate Sandoval's issues or fighting over tiny operational percentages, Lisa felt it was time to walk away clean and lucrative. With Ken's full backing, she quietly started fielding outside queries about a final sale of the venue. When the sale finally closed, TomTom was sold for a cool $3 million. For Lisa and Ken, the deal was a huge financial triumph, allowing them to cash out of the physical footprint at the height of its commercial valuation and avoid any more daily headaches. This was a classic Vanderpump play, fast, surgical, and very, very lucrative. But the sale brought a harsh, sudden end to Sandoval's proudest career chapter. And while the deal settled everyone's fractional stakes in name, it forever stole away the flagship business that had made him a modern nightlife figure. The bright marquee that had been his identity on television was beyond his control. Lisa walked off with her million, while her reputation as a wise tycoon intact, having demonstrated once again that she answered to no one. An unnerving issue rocked the quiet refuge of their Beverly Hills house, much like Lisa Vanderpump and Ken Todd, who wanted to escape the high-profile headaches of West Hollywood nightlife. Villa Rosa had been the shining crown jewel of their company for almost a decade. A lush, peaceful paradise they'd paraded in front of millions around the world. However, in November 2023, behind the groomed hedges and imposing double doors, a routine workday took a disastrous turn. Eric Nieto was a handyman who'd been engaged to do maintenance and routine service work on the huge property. Official sources said Nieto was necessary to go down to the basement level of the property via an inside stairway. He stumbled on a stair tread and went down the steps with a violence that shocked him. The blow was devastating, twisting his ankle under a tremendous force as he fell and shattered in a complex, excruciating Maisonneuve-type break that shredded his lower leg and supporting ligaments. The injury was so severe that he had to undergo immediate surgery, followed by months of complete immobility and a long course of physical therapy. Nieto's physical pain and growing medical expenditures continued to increase, and Nieto officially sued Lisa Vanderpump and Ken Todd. He said the couple allowed the basement stairs to deteriorate into a dangerous state of disrepair, turning an ordinary work chore into a hazardous hazard. In his legal filing, he requested almost $195,000 in damages to cover massive medical expenditures, lost wages, future rehabilitation, and significant mental distress. The suit destroyed the haven of tranquility that Lisa and Ken had nurtured for years. Their lawyers were meantime busy trying to fight the allegations and transfer blame aggressively. But the public disclosure of the episode demolished their image of domestic perfection. What started as a simple home repair had unexpectedly turned into a messy, six-figure lawsuit. The legal struggle over Eric Nieto's devastating fall stretched on through months of acrimonious filings, depositions, and courtroom examination. Lisa Vanderpump and Ken Todd's defense attorneys argued to limit their liability, saying the staircase was not unsafe by nature, and the contractor took on normal risks when conducting renovations on the property. The information offered as to the condition of the basement stairs was, however, convincing. In the end, the court issued a definite finding that Lisa and Ken must pay the full $195,000 in damages to cover the handyman's increasing medical bills, rehabilitation costs, and lost income. Perhaps a $195,000 court settlement would have appeared like a typical settlement that their accountants could easily swallow for a couple with an empire worth tens of millions. But the court's ruling set off an extraordinary domestic explosion in the private halls of Villa Rosa. It was no longer about the money. It was about war on principles, pride, and accountability. Ken Todd was not one to compromise. He was stubborn and absolutely refused to go into his own personal assets to pay off the court-ordered payment. He put it all down to Lisa. After all, she was responsible for the day-to-day running of the house and its domestic arrangements. Ken felt that the upkeep of the property was her responsibility and that she should be the one to pay the whole penalty of $195,000. Lisa was totally caught off guard and very upset by her husband's rudeness. For almost 40 years, they had been a united front in all their ventures, together braving the fiercest of media tempests, restaurant fires, and reality TV battles. It was a personal betrayal to see Ken leave the relationship over a claim of a domestic premises. She realized his unwillingness to share the blame was not merely a slight on their marriage, but a calculated attempt to punish and isolate her. The simmering fury over the $195,000 legal settlement opened the floodgates of Villa Rosa, unleashing terrible secrets that had been suppressed for years. Lisa was already grieving from Ken's refusal to share financial responsibilities, feeling lonely and emotionally drained. But as domestic hatred grew worse, a much more tragic reality began to appear. One that money couldn't repair, Lisa grew suspicious of Ken's growing aloofness and defensive outbursts, and started to sniff under the surface of their private lives. The revelations destroyed her entire world. Ken had apparently been living a double life, carrying on covert love connections with several other women behind her back. For a woman who had spent her entire broadcast career fiercely policing honesty, fielding tabloid crises, and defending Ken's dignity against Beverly Hills rumor, the news was an agonizing, heartbreaking blow. Ken was regarded as Lisa's last line of defense, the soft-spoken patriarch who famously pledged to protect his wife to the ends of the planet. But behind closed doors, the intense loyalty was an illusion carefully constructed. There was, right in front of Lisa's eyes, evidence of secret trysts, hidden messages, and personal betrayals that went much beyond simple transgressions. The husband who had supported her through decades of business building, sad family losses, and hard reality TV feuds had reportedly broken the most basic pledge of their union. Overnight, the atmosphere at Villa Rosa had shifted from cold tension to visceral devastation. Lisa, with her razor wit and cool under pressure, found herself in an unthinkable nightmare in her own house. It wasn't simply a romantic betrayal. It was a blow to the very core of who she was, to the legacy she had spent over 40 years building. Ken's web of lies effectively killed what little loyalty was there between them. The breaking point for Lisa Vanderpump was the rising pressure of outside lawsuits, terrible business ramifications, and intimate betrayals. Lisa had always been proud of her strength throughout her life, handling the cutthroat social scene of Beverly Hills, harsh business competitors, and rigorous reality TV confrontations with grace. But the destruction of trust in her own family was a wound no amount of public poise could hide. The core respect in her marriage was gone, and Lisa made the huge choice to formally file for divorce, ending one of reality TV's most legendary marriages in a dramatic and out-of-the-blue way. The announcement sent seismic shockwaves through Hollywood and the Bravo fanbase worldwide. To millions of fans, Lisa and Ken had been the gold standard of enduring companionship, in an industry infamous for ephemeral romances. It was sobering to see that 40-year empire collapse under financial conflicts, courtroom decisions, and private misdeeds, a reminder that even the most idyllic lifestyles have cracks. But Lisa wasn't going to let a collapse be her future. She was not going to accept that. She cut herself apart from her old business relationships and her failed marriage and concentrated on being independent again. It was sad to leave TomTom in the wreckage of Villa Rosa's domestic tranquility, but it also freed her from junior partners, resentful associates, and toxic secrets. As the dust settled on the multi-million-dollar enterprise she had built from the bottom up, Lisa stood alone at the helm of her own life. The dazzling age of TomTom, the tutelage of ambitious bartenders, and the fairy tale relationship with Ken Todd were finally closed. Chapters: did Tom Sandoval bring his own downfall by overplaying his hand against a seasoned mogul? Or was Lisa's refusal to share real control the true breaking point? And after decades of presenting an unbreakable front to the world, was the sudden unraveling of Lisa and Ken's marriage an inevitable fallout from the pressures of fame, money, and hidden secrets? What do you think really went down behind the closed gates of Villa Rosa? Drop your thoughts, theories, and reactions in the comments below. We want to hear from you. More update. Lisa Vanderpump and Ken Todd have built one of reality TV's most recognizable relationships. But what is their marriage really like behind the cameras? We're uncovering Lisa's surprising revelations about life with Ken while taking a closer look at the woman behind the glamorous lifestyle. From her successful restaurant and business empire to her family life and decades-long relationship, there's plenty to explore. But with constant rumors surrounding the couple, fans are asking one big question. Are Lisa Vanderpump and Ken Todd still married? Stay tuned to find out. Lisa Vanderpump and Ken Todd's love is still alive and well. Vanderpump Rules leader demonstrated this on Saturday, July 20th, when she tweeted a short but sweet greeting to her husband of 42 years. "Happy birthday to the father of my children, the grandfather of the love of my life." Lisa captioned the image, "I love you." The snapshot, also posted by Lisa and Ken's daughter, Pandora Vanderpump Sabo, showed a beautiful moment between the birthday man and his grandson, Theodore Teddy Sabo. Ken was mid-laugh as he helped the 2-year-old youngster sit up on a big eagle statue. And if that wasn't enough cuteness, Teddy was spotted wearing a cute Western outfit, including a cowboy hat and a cute pair of cowboy boots. "Happy birthday to the best grand Teddy in the whole world," Teddy's mom Pandora wrote in her post. "We love you so much." Pandora, who shares Teddy with husband Jason Sabo, tagged the photo's location as Wolf by Vanderpump, the family's freshly opened Lake Tahoe eatery. The birthday honors come less than 2 months after Lisa offered more light on her decades-long marriage and how she has kept the spark alive. She spoke about the topics on the May 29th broadcast of Call Her Daddy when asked about her famed twice-a-year sex limit. "Well, not anymore. I mean, I used to have it a couple times a year. That was a joke," she said. "I have a really strong physical relationship with my hubby. I met him. I got married in 3 months. That's not somebody who has sex twice a year." Elsewhere in the program, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star stated she also thought her parents may have been swingers, but swore she and Ken were absolutely monogamous. "If you're listening to this and you want to swing, ask me, please," she laughed. "I'm a little jealous too. Obsessively in love with my husband. Getting married so quick and just so young, I think." "I am very tactile," she added. "I mean, you witnessed how I make out with my dog. Go figure that. As a lover, and not for those folks who want to swing with me, since I'd truly be a great disappointment. But I'm talking about in the past. If a couple of people come up to me to swing, I forget it. I can't be bothered with that right now, but I am a perfectionist. I think I could be a perfectionist even making love." Who is Lisa Vanderpump? What to know about her business empire and family? When you think of Lisa Vanderpump, you think of Beverly Hills mansions covered in pink roses, some of the hottest restaurants in Los Angeles and Las Vegas, and lots and lots of cute animals. The multi-hyphenate is so many things: loving wife, mother, grandma and pet parent, a successful businesswoman, a former actress, a reality TV personality, charity owner, and so much more. Lisa Vanderpump has more to offer than what we've seen on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and Vanderpump Rules. Read on to find out more about Lisa, her restaurants, her husband Ken Todd, and more. Lisa's Beverly Hills property is famously called Villa Rosa. Her style is renowned to be feminine and pristine, with lots of rich blooms and pink hues. Lisa and her family had lived in England before relocating to the United States. In 2020, Pandora shared a glimpse of the home in England, where she and her parents resided shortly after she was born. Lisa and her husband have run over 30 restaurants and pubs in the United States and England for more than 30 years. Her biggest restaurants now include SUR Restaurant and Lounge in West Hollywood, the original setting for Vanderpump Rules, TomTom Restaurant, and Bar in West Hollywood, a collaboration with Tom Schwartz and Tom Sandoval, Vanderpump Cocktail Garden in Las Vegas, and Vanderpump a Paris in Las Vegas. Beverly Hills Villa Blanca, a frequent fixture on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and Vanderpump Rules, shuttered in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. The West Hollywood-based Pump Restaurant and Lounge closed its doors in 2023. In 2023, Lisa revealed plans to open Wolf by Vanderpump in Lake Tahoe. In anticipation of BravoCon 2023, Lisa said she will be opening her third Las Vegas venture, Pinky's by Vanderpump, a restaurant and bar opening at the legendary Flamingo Hotel on the Las Vegas Strip in the summer of 2024. Ken Todd is a British restaurateur and businessman. Before meeting Lisa, Ken was married to Pamela Todd when he was 19. They divorced after 2 years, but had a son together in 1966, Warren. They met in 1982 when Lisa's brother was responsible for bringing them together. "It was the weirdest thing," Lisa remarked of their first meeting on the podcast Straight Up with Stassi in 2018. "He was wrong for me in every sense of the word. He was 16 years older than me. He was a playboy going around town with his trousers down his ankles. I was seeing someone else. I glanced at him, and there was an instant connection." Lisa and Ken got engaged 6 weeks after they met and were married 3 months later. Ken and Lisa have 2 children together, son Max Vanderpump-Todd and daughter Pandora Vanderpump-Sabo, as well as Ken's son from a prior marriage. Pandora, who is married to Jason Sabo and shares son Theodore Teddy Sabo with him, has worked with her parents through the years at their restaurants, Vanderpump Dogs and more. Max worked as a busser at SUR and then manager at TomTom on Vanderpump Rules. She was an actor before she began chronicling her personal and professional lives on Bravo decades ago. She also starred in a range of other productions in the 1970s, such as John Halifax, Gentleman Katie, and Killer's Moon. She was a music video vixen in the 1980s on ABC's Poison Arrow music video show. Her IMDb credits continue to roll right through the 90s, where she was seen on episodes like Baywatch Nights and Silk Stockings. Lisa was added to the cast of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills when it began in October 2010. She left the program after season 9 in 2019, and she didn't attend that year's reunion. During an interview with Us Weekly in June 2019, Lisa gave more details about her choice to exit RHOBH. "I decided to go. It was a very tough year for me, professionally and personally," she said. "I had great things happen this year, opening up in TomTom and the Cocktail Garden in Vegas. The Housewives, it's emotionally too difficult to deal with." Lisa has been on Vanderpump Rules since day one. She's a cast member and executive producer on the series, which follows the present and former employees of her restaurants and their friends. VPR was created as a spinoff of RHOBH in 2013. Season 11 will premiere in January 2024. Vanderpump Rules. Lisa is more than a boss. To SUR and TomTom team, she is the voice of reason when the cast squabbles, the business mentor when they branch off and start their own ventures, and a friend, often entertaining them for tea parties and lavish dinners. In 2013, Lisa competed in season 16 of Dancing with the Stars with pro Gleb Savchenko. They were the second pair voted out. In 2021, Lisa was featured on E's Overserved with Lisa Vanderpump, which followed her hosting her famous pals at Villa Rosa. That same year, she also judged on ABC's Pooch Perfect. She was the star of Peacock's Vanderpump Dogs, a RHOBH spinoff that chronicled her West Hollywood pet adoption boutique. In 2016, Lisa and Ken created the Vanderpump Dogs Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to improving the lives of dogs across the globe. She has also been running a blog called Very Vanderpump since 2012. From 2017 to 2018, she was editor-in-chief of Beverly Hills Lifestyle magazine. In addition to her restaurants, Lisa has also established liquor lines like Vanderpump Rose, LVP Sangria, and Vanderpump Vodka. Are Lisa Vanderpump and Ken Todd still married? Vanderpump Rules is about the staff at Lisa Vanderpump's famous SUR restaurant, but the veteran reality personality is also featured on the series. Fans have also observed that her husband Ken Todd has been appearing less on the show. Over the years, Bravo viewers have been familiar with Todd. He was a staple on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But he's also made appearances on Vanderpump Rules and other spin-offs throughout the years, but his recent absence has some wondering where they stand. Scroll down for all we know about Vanderpump and Todd's marriage, including where they stand today. Yep, Vanderpump and Todd are still together and thriving. They were married in August of 1982, and in 2025, they will celebrate 43 years of marriage. Vanderpump was on Live with Kelly and Mark in April 2024 and said that maintaining a marriage in the spotlight is a challenge. Anyone who thinks imperfect beings are going to have a perfect relationship, I think that's foolish, she said. But that hasn't stopped Vanderpump and Todd from being able to work their marriage. Todd turned 80 in October 2025, and Vanderpump gushed on Instagram a bit late, but boy was it fun surrounded by so many of those we love and adore. Happy belated birthday, darling. You mean so much to many. Vanderpump and Todd met in 1982 when she was 21 and he was 37 years old. She was driving her brother up from his work in a nightclub in London and found a manager was AWOL, so Vanderpump jumped in to assist out. She told the Straight Up with Stassi podcast in 2018 that Todd had walked in on her when she was working at the club. It was the weirdest thing, she said, but he was all the wrong things for me in every way. He was 6 years my senior. He was a playboy. He was roaming around town with his trousers down. And I was seeing someone else. I glanced at him and there was a connection right away. Vanderpump was hesitant to offer Todd her number. She went out to America, and 6 or 8 weeks later, when she got back to London, she bumped with Todd. They were engaged 6 weeks after their first date and married 3 months later. Vanderpump and Todd have 2 children. Their sole biological child, daughter Pandora, was born to Vanderpump in May 1986 in England. They adopted a son, Max, in 1992. I knew very well that I could have more children biologically, but the adoption was my choice. Vanderpump said on RHOBH regarding the decision to adopt, I knew about Max, who was in foster care, and I simply wanted him. I said I'd take him before I even got there. Vanderpump and Todd, through Pandora, and her husband, Jason Sabo, also have 2 grandchildren. Yes, Villa Rosa is still Vanderpump and her husband's opulent mansion in Beverly Hills. The reality star has made a variety of real estate investments over the years, but Villa Rosa is her main base. She purchased the home in 2012 and showed it to fans on season 3 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. When asked in December 2025 if she'd ever sell Villa Rosa, Vanderpump said, I can never say never. The restaurateur added that she has a lot of animals on her property. It's very unlikely that I would be zoned for livestock elsewhere in Beverly Hills, she explained. So I can have little horses in there. I have a house in Vegas, but no, my home is still Villa Rosa, Vanderpump clarified. She also wrote on an Instagram post from September 2025, oh, it's good to be back at Villa Rosa. It's been a long 2 months away. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.